everybody, and welcome in to the best in true crime talk radio. It's True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis, doing a little bit of a different show today. We're bringing in the BCB, the Big Cuddly Bear, Beer City Bruiser. How you doing, Bruiser?
I'm doing great, Tim. I can't wait to rip some of these headlines and see what we got going on in the world today.
That's what we're doing. Spoiler alert. It's ripped from the headlines.
Yeah, I guess I should have waited for you to say that, huh?
No,
my bad.
That's okay. You're fine there, buddy. We're ripping some headlines today, mainly because we're meant to do this as a July 4th show, but you know what? We were kind of fortunate to get Todd Goldberg over the holiday weekend, so we took advantage of it. Normally, it's kind of hard to book authors over the weekend because they have plans. They're people too, but we were fortunate to get Todd Goldberg over the weekend, so we just decided, you know what, we're going to do this show and over the week after July 4th, and then we'll pick it up and we'll start getting back into some authors and some true crime over the next few weeks. We got some interesting authors over the next few weeks, that's for sure. And then later on in the week, Bruiser, oh my gosh, we keep hitting some home runs here on Darkness Radio. Later on in the week, I believe it's pronounced Dacker Stoker.
That's Bram Stoker relation, correct?
Yeah, is it the third grandnephew? I have to go back and see, but he's deep in the relation to Bram Stoker. It's the 125th anniversary of Dracula this year.
Dracula's been around that long, huh?
Yeah, and so we're gonna.
How cool of a name is that too? Dracker Stoker, like
Docker, D-A-C-R-E, Docker Stoker.
Isn't that just like a cool name?
It is.
Like I just hear that and I think instantly gothic, mysterious. I mean, he's probably not. He's probably like a, frat boy from California. But
oh no, he's an older gentleman. Yeah.
Oh, he is. Okay.
Yeah. It might be Docker Stoker, I believe. So he's going to be with us along with his partner in crime. They're going to be talking not only about the 125th anniversary, but they have a Kickstarter campaign for a graphic novel. So we're going to talk about that as well.
For Dracula?
Yes, for Dracula. So
really?
Yeah, for a Dracula related project. So, and they have some interesting 125th anniversary merchandise you can get, but it's for a limited time only. So.
Oh, I have to listen to that show to find out where, because that's one of my favorite books. I love the movie.
Yeah.
Both movies, the Bela Lugosi movie, which is loosely based on the book, I believe, right? Mm-hmm. And then the remake, which came out in the 90s, which blew my mind when I was a kid, because it was like, because it's not a real fast-pacing movie, it right. Kind of goes all over the place.
Yeah, yep.
But I'd already read the book, and it's true to the book.
Yep. So it's kind of a fast-paced week here. We've got True Crime Tuesday. Of course, we have your Supernatural news tomorrow, and then I believe it's Dr. Stoker. I'm going to have to get the correct pronunciation there. He's going to hate me for not having the correct pronunciation there.
I just want to know if he's a brooding old man that's all like gothic, and like in the Monster Squad, how they always joked about the old man in his house and stuff, and he just turned out to be a Holocaust survivor or whatever. Like
you're going to be disappointed. He looks more Stephen King than he does.
Really?
Yeah. Go look him up on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, go add him on Facebook. He's a very nice gentleman. Yeah, actually, he's going to be on the show. I believe it's Chris McCauley is his Dr. Chris McCauley is his partner on the project. So we're gonna try and get both of them on the show. We'll talk about that project coming up, which is exciting. There's only a few days left to the project, so we want to try and get as many people to support that project. It's a Kickstarter campaign for a Dracula 125th anniversary graphic novel. So
I definitely support that.
Yeah.
You and I are both comic geeks, and I've actually gone back and started watching the Comic Book Men shows, which gets me hyped up to see stuff, and a Dracula graphic novel, man, that would just be the bee's knees. Speaking
of, it's totally not on any related subject whatsoever. You know what I picked up? Not this past Saturday before.
What?
Tony Schiavone, Butts and Seats graphic novel.
That's right. He did release one.
Yeah, I picked it up.
You got to tell me how that is. Is the artwork pretty cool?
It looks cool. I haven't read it yet, but I've been so busy with stuff I haven't had a chance to thumb through it. But
Yeah, it's basically his life story.
It is.
But instead of writing autobiography, he did it as a graphic novel.
Yep. So I'll let you know how it is.
Please.
I think I might be able to get another copy for you if you want a copy.
Yeah, I get. I love wrestling, I love comics, and I love history. So kind of hits all three.
I don't know. Do you have a comic shop up by you?
We've got a couple that I haven't been able to go to yet.
Okay.
My mother-in-law, when she was here, drove past them a couple of times and saw it. And then my wife, and they're actually right next door to each other. So I'm curious, do they get along or do they fight?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. So probably this weekend we might hit it up. Like, I just know my wife and I are both comic book pop culture geeks. And we know that when we go into comic stores, we don't come out on empty-handed. And you know as well as I do, Tim, collecting comics can get very expensive.
Oh, God.
Especially when you want key issues.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. But I'll tell you, I see now. I'm gonna give a plug for my buddies up in St. Cloud, Granite City Comics. See, I go to Granite City Comics, and they take care of me. So, but yeah, I was looking specifically for Tony Schiavone butts and seats, and I went to my buddy Tim over there at Granite City Comics. He hooked me up.
That's awesome.
It's kind of hard to find. It came out.
Because it's an independent comic, so it's not in every. Yeah. It doesn't have the backing of Marvel or DC. It's an independent.
Yeah, and it was.
But you know what? That's how Walking Dead started. Yeah, that was an independent comic. And last night, my wife and I were talking about Tank Girl. If you remember that, that was because I was telling her she would love it. Yep. She's never read it, never seen the movie. So, independent comics sometimes are better than the mainstream.
And you get a good dealer, a good comic dealer out there, and they can find you just about anything.
I think that's what this weekend is going to be: is building relationships.
Yep,
and spending money.
Yeah, well, there's that too. There's that too, my friend. Again, Bruiser pointed it out. Ripped from the headlines. We're just going to quit keeping track of how many of these we're doing. I think this may become a semi-regular segment. It's kind of popular too, Bruiser. I've been looking up the numbers for Ripped from the headlines.
Yeah,
people like it.
Hey, you said you Googled just dumb crimes and went down a bit, and there we were, huh?
Yeah, it came up. So people are liking it. They're liking the Rip from the Headlines and Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals together. So unfortunately, we're going to start it out with an obit.
Oh,
yeah,
that's sad.
I take it you were a fan of The Sopranos?
I was, and I read this, and he was one of my favorite characters on there, too.
Yeah.
Because he was almost the comic relief without being the comic relief.
Yeah, Tony Sirico, who played Paulie Walnuts on The Sopranos, died last week at the age of 79. He was a gangster in real life, believe it or not. And then he played one on TV. So he didn't have to prove to anybody that he actually knew what he was talking about. He knew the real deal. With his winged hair and scathing one-liners, Paulie Walnuts Gualtieri was one of the most memorable characters on HBO's The Sopranos. Now fellow cast members are saying arrivederci to the actor who played him. Tony Sirico has died in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the age of 79. His manager, Bob McGowan, confirmed it to Variety last week. Cause of death hasn't been given for Tony Sirico. In a statement to People, McGowan notes that Sirico was a very loyal client of 25 years. He always supported charities. He was an ex-Army vet and a member of the Wounded Warriors. For decades before landing his star turn on The Sopranos, Sirico played movie gangsters and criminals, kicking off his career as an extra in the 1974 films, plural, The Godfather Part 2 and Crazy Joe. From there, Sirico was seen in such movies as Goodfellas, Copland, and a slew of Woody Allen films, including Bullets Over Broadway, Cafe Society, and Mighty Aphrodite. He originally auditioned for the role of Uncle Junior on The Sopranos, interestingly enough, a part that went instead to Dominic Chianese, before getting recruited to play Paulie Walnuts. Art imitated life for Sirico, who was mired in crime before he stumbled into acting. Per the New York Times, the Brooklyn-born Gennaro Anthony Sirico Jr. first got into trouble stealing nickels from a newsstand as a boy, then started running with a bad crowd after dropping out of high school. He went into prison twice, once for armed robbery and weapons possession, and it was during one of those stints behind bars when he saw a performance by an acting troupe made up of ex-convicts. He said, when I watched them, I said to myself, I can do that. he said in a 1999 interview. Stars from The Sopranos, including Lorraine Bracco, who played Dr. Jennifer Melfi on the show, Jamie Lynn Sigler, who played Meadow, and Stevie Van Zandt, who played Silvio Dante, offered their condolences for Sirico's death online, though it was an Instagram post from Michael Imperioli, whose character Christopher Moltisanti shared much screen time with Paulie Walnuts that proved especially poignant. He said, "We found a groove as Christopher and Paulie, and I'm proud to say I did a lot of my best and most fun work with my dear pal Tony." Imperioli wrote, "I will miss him forever. He is truly irreplaceable." Per a Facebook post written by Sirico's brother, Sirico is survived by a son and a daughter, as well as grandchildren, siblings, nieces, nephews, and many other relatives. So, Godspeed.
One of the most memorable scenes from The Sopranos is when Christopher and Paulie go into the woods to cap somebody, and they end up getting like a shootout or something like that, and they're stranded out in the woods.
That's
and it's
the Pine Barrens episode, right?
Yeah. And you could see right there the chemistry the two of them had on camera. Mm-hmm. Because you can tell when there's not chemistry between two actors, but they just had that chemistry, and the back and forth they have that whole time when they're freezing and they get back to the van and all that. It's just hilarious, and that's what made me a Paulie Walnuts fan, was that right there. I could not picture him being Junior. Could not picture it.
No. Everybody is appropriately cast on that show, most definitely. Yeah. It was a fantastic show, and the only thing that sucked about the show is the way they ended it, with it just fading to black and you don't know what happens. You think so? I think because when David Chase comes back a few years later and then does the interviews and does the sit-down interviews and explains that, you know what, you're supposed to draw your own conclusion as to what happened, and then says yet again he thinks it's pretty obvious what happened.
I just think it's lazy. Why not show us? Did he die? Did he live? What's going on? Because to show you, the way he put it is he pretty much did show you. He showed you from the eyes of Tony. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I wish we could have gotten the show has always been through the eyes of Tony. Yeah. And so true. You saw the ending through the eyes of Tony. I guess it just ranks up there as one of the two endings to one of the three endings to a series I didn't really care for. The other two being Dexter and then Seinfeld. Yeah, I understand. And a lot of, you know what it is though? I think we pump ourselves up for the beginning of a new season of a show. We pump ourselves up for the season finale of a show because we have such high expectations. And when they don't meet, I think we're naturally disappointed. But we have to realize that there has to be an end, and there's only so many endings to the way something has to come to fruition. And there's not ever a good way to end something. It's either going to be like I'll ask you this. Did you ever watch Sons of Anarchy? Loved it. Loved the ending. I loved him riding and then putting his arms back. Jack's putting his arms back and his head back and essentially dying the same way as his father died before him. I loved it. Sons of Anarchy to me is the most perfect series out there. See, I think it killed any potential for any other spinoff to do as well as Sons of Anarchy did. And I think I've been proven right. I don't think Mayans. I agree with you. Mayans isn't even near the caliber. Right. And I don't know, because they're right now in the process of creating First Nine. Yep. Which is the origin, which is John Teller's story. Yeah. Yeah. And the thing when you do something like that, so I'm a big fan of Yellowstone. Yellowstone was great. Well, the wife and I went back and watched the 1883, which is a prequel to it. Yeah. It's not the same as Yellowstone because you get so used to the characters. Yeah. Where when we do the First Nine, in our heads we have a Piney, we have Ron Perlman's character. We know who they are. We Bobby Vegas. You know what I mean? Yeah. But now we're going to see a younger version of them. Yeah. And that's where you walk that fine line. Now with Mayans, we fell in love with the Sons of Anarchy. We didn't fall in love with the Mayans because remember the Mayans were villains in the Sons of Anarchy. Right. Right. You know what I mean? They're on again, off again villains. So when you go back and watch Mayans, you're right off the bat are like, well, I don't like these guys because
You're
they're
indifferent.
the
to
bad
it.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know there's rumors they wanted to do something with Meadow and AJ for Sopranos, but I don't know if that got scrapped or not.
Well, I think after the lukewarm reception to the Sopranos movie, I think David Chase is okay with laying off for a while. I think the ideal was they were going to continue with, with Tony's journey into, being a made man. I think that was the next step, but because of the lukewarm reception to the movie, I think they're fine with putting it down. And David Chase, I think he went into it with kind of a lukewarm reception. I don't think he was fired up to write it. I think it was just a matter of necessity.
I think he did it to give Sopranos fans something because they've been asking for it for so long.
Yeah,
that's why I think he did the movie.
That's exactly what it was. It was just time to kind of revisit that world in a prequel and show you where everybody kind of came from. And he did it, and he was okay with revisiting it, but I don't think it was a passion project.
I don't think so either, and it showed in the writing.
Yeah, it was kind of uninspired. Yeah. Let's move on, Bruiser. This is where we're kind of weeding into getting into the weeds a little bit. It's not going to be as flowery from here on out as we rip things from the headlines here in the rest of this first half of the program. I am sure as a father, if one of your daughters came home and said, Dad, a man put his hands on me and it wasn't in a way that was favorable, you would pretty much go get the shotgun, or you'd take care of him with your bare hands.
Oh yeah, I would have to be restrained. Yes. Yeah, because my mind wouldn't be thinking about consequences.
No, and you would never, as a father, think that way. You would never think, there's got to be consequences for that type of thing, especially if a boy or a man tried to rape your daughter. Well, a man allegedly killed and attempted to dismember a man who tried to rape his girlfriend, of all things, and is paying the costs for it right now.
Well, I'm assuming he was arrested and not going to go to court.
A 29-year-old California man was arrested after allegedly killing a man who tried to rape his girlfriend during their date night. According to a news release from the Laramie Police Department on June 27th at approximately 7:43 p.m., officers launched the investigation after receiving a missing persons report. Hunter Fulton allegedly fatally shot the missing male victim, claiming that he was protecting his girlfriend, the Laramie Boomerang reported. According to an affidavit obtained by the Laramie Boomerang on June 24th and in the early hours of June 25th, Fulton and his girlfriend first came into contact with the victim, listed as MTC in documents at Copper's Bar. Fulton and his girlfriend were reportedly out on a date, and MTC made a sexual pass at her. Fulton allegedly confronted the victim, and he apologized. At that point, you think everything's square, right?
You'd think.
Yeah. Fulton and his girlfriend left Copper's and went to a room at the Gaslight Motel. Not the most romantic thing in the world, the Laramie Boomerang reported.
That's a horrible name for a motel.
It really is, yeah.
In nowadays terms, I'm sure when it was created, it means something else.
Sure, yeah. The two also allegedly took cocaine in the room because why not?
Yeah.
The Fulton reportedly left the motel room, leaving the door open, and the victim then entered. Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Then the victim allegedly tried to sexually assault the woman at knife point. According to the affidavit, Fulton returned to the room, and he and MTC got into a physical fight that led to Fulton fatally shooting MTC. The girlfriend reportedly went back to California, and on the afternoon of June 25th, she told authorities MTC's body was in the room. That's
so she called the cops on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see there's a lot of things that, hindsight's 2020, where obviously it's third party looking in. If my wife and I are in a room and I leave, I make sure the door is closed.
Right.
And then if I'd come in and see someone assaulting my wife, yeah, it's going to get physical, but I wouldn't pull a gun on the guy. You know what I mean? It would
Yeah.
be physical to the point where, I'd harm him and then restrain him until the police showed up.
There's more to the story. Well, there's coke on the premises, so
I was going to say they're also under the influence.
Yeah.
They're not thinking straight.
On June 27th, MTC was allegedly reported missing, which initiated the investigation. A couple days later, on June 29th, officers found Fulton sitting in his car outside the Gaslight Motel, and he told officers they would find everything you need inside the room. That's balls.
So I don't think him and the girlfriend were on good terms after the shooting. If she left him there and then called the police right away.
Authorities reportedly searched a motel room and located the victim's body in the bathtub with cuts on his torso, along with a saw nearby.
Yeah, it's not like you'd think dismembering a body is pretty easy, but from every serial killer I've ever heard interviewed, it's actually a process.
Fulton had allegedly bought multiple saws from a local hardware store on June 25th. Investigators believe Fulton tried to dismember the victim's body. Fulton was taken into custody, and during an interview, Fulton reportedly told authorities, if your girlfriend would have gotten raped, you would have killed him too.
Not the thing you want to say to police.
No. According to police, Fulton was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and mutilation of dead bodies. In the state of Wyoming, police said second-degree murder is punishable by a minimum of 20 years in prison to life. Mutilation of dead human bodies is reportedly punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a fine of up to $10,000 or both.
And his self-defense defense is completely out the window because what he told police.
Yeah, he just said, it's in there. Everything you need's in there.
I was told if you ever get arrested, guilty or not, first thing you do is ask for a lawyer. Whether you're guilty or not. Everyone thinks, if I'm arrested and I ask for a lawyer, they know I'm guilty. Nope. No. Ask for a lawyer, guilty or not, because it's just your protection.
Yeah. Continuing upon the hackening jury, or journey, not jury. See, you got me thinking in terms of defending myself.
Well, you hacking people up, Tim, and we don't know about it?
We're just, no, not me. The only thing I'm hacking up is a steak, my friend. Parents push for a teen who said she Michael Myers'd her sister to be tried as a juvenile.
So she put on a mask and stabbed her sister. Okay.
This is all ripped from the headlines over the past couple of weeks since we've been, attending to other things here. Lancaster County, PA is where we're going. A teen's parents appeared in court over the last week on behalf of their daughter, who is accused of killing her older sister, as part of a hearing to determine if she will be charged as an adult. Last February at 1 a.m., this is when the actual crime occurred, the Manheim Township Police Department responded to a home on the 1500 block of Clayton Road after receiving a call from a girl who said she killed her sister. According to the Lancaster County District Attorney's statement cited by WGAL-TV, officers reportedly located 14-year-old Claire Miller, who led police to her sister Helen's bedroom, where she was found with a stab wound on her neck. The district attorney's office says investigators believe the stabbing occurred while Claire and Helen's parents were asleep. Claire was taken into custody at the scene and booked on a charge of criminal homicide. WGAL reports Helen had a large knife in her neck.
Ooh.
And Claire allegedly told police, I stabbed my sister.
Hey, at least she's honest.
Yeah, she's not lying about that. According to WGAL, a hearing began this past week to decide on Claire's trial.
She didn't give a reason to the police? She just said, I stabbed my sister?
Yeah, she just said, I stabbed my sister. On Tuesday, June 28th, Manheim Township Police Detective Jonathan Martin said Claire was standing outside in the snow covered in blood when they showed up. While at the police station, she allegedly heard a Halloween ringtone and says, I Michael Myers'd my sister.
That girl needs help.
Yeah.
She needs some mental help.
Yeah. Helen was reportedly stabbed 2 times in the chest and jaw and 3 times in the neck.
Oh.
Yeah. According to Lancaster Online, Miller's parents told a Lancaster County judge their daughter suffered from mental illness, bullying, gender dysmorphia, and more. Helen reportedly suffered from cerebral palsy and was not able to communicate or walk, but Claire loved her sister a lot.
Yeah, if you love somebody, you don't stab them, what was it, 9 times?
Yeah. Claire was reportedly a star student at Lancaster Country Day School. Was involved in student body politics. She was bullied in 6th grade, and when she was 13, she allegedly came out to her father that she believed she was supposed to be a boy. Lancaster Online reports Claire's parents said she started cutting herself and having hallucinations. She allegedly told a psychiatrist that she had a boy me and a girl me that were separate from herself and not just her thoughts. The female voice allegedly told Claire to drink blood and harm herself, but the male voice was nicer. On the night of February 21st, 2021, Claire allegedly tried cutting her neck and then attempted to stab the female hallucination, but it ended up being her sister instead.
Okay. Yeah, this girl needs, I don't know why she wasn't on any medication.
I don't know either. Dr. Susan Rushing, one of the psychiatrists who evaluated Claire, said the sensation of blood on her was what snapped her out of it. Both Rushing and another psychiatrist diagnosed Claire with depression, anxiety, and active psychosis during the killing. They reportedly noted the mental illnesses were caused by several factors of trauma she had been going through, including her gender dysphoria, COVID-19 isolation, bullying, and a friend's suicide attempt. Claire is currently in custody at an adult female-only state prison. According to Lancaster Online, if Claire gets moved to juvenile court, the focus will reportedly move to rehabilitation and supervision until she turns 21. Homicide, however, automatically counts as an adult crime in the state of Pennsylvania, but since Claire is a minor, she's able to petition and have her case heard in front of a juvenile court judge.
Well, I hope they get her into a mental institution to get her help, the help that she needs. You know, this is clearly a mental health case. You know, where she all the stresses in her life and she doesn't have the tools to handle it.
Yeah.
When my son was younger, we had an issue where he had voices. He heard voices, and he would see things and stuff. So he ended up spending some time in a mental institute, getting the therapy and all that he needs. And what it is when he's stressed out, his brain doesn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So they gave him, he was on medication for a little bit, and then they gave him the tools and stuff, and then they did like the MRIs and all that, and they found out that there was something with his eyes where, like you and I see a tree waving in the wind, mm-hmm. His eyes were slower, so he couldn't see the tree waving in the wind, so his brain would make something up, and it was always a man in a suit and a top hat is what he'd always see.
Oh my God.
And, you know, so they figured out how to correct that, and he's been fine ever since. But it's just that if we wouldn't have taken those steps to get him the help, or he actually did the first steps by saying, hey, I need help. Voices are telling me to do this.
Wow.
And as hard it is as a parent to deal with that, because you don't want anything to happen to your children. You want your children to be perfect, you know, nothing wrong with them. But when they come up and they tell you this stuff, you know, there's 2 ways you can go. You can ignore it and, it's just your imagination, or you can take it seriously like we did. And we went the medical route, and they MRIs and spinal taps and all this stuff. And then he got the help he needed, you know? And I think that's what this girl needs. She needs help like that.
Yeah. Because
she obviously has something going on where the stresses in her life are causing her this disassociation.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. These next 2 stories are the you buried what where stories.
These are always fun.
Yeah, a Georgia man is arrested after the body presumed to be his missing wife is found under the flower bed.
Oh, of course.
I have chipmunks that love to bury a bunch of stuff in the flower bed, but it's generally sunflower seeds and almonds. Never found a body. however, in the
Wasn't
flower
it Walking Dead where just look at the flowers? Just look at the flowers.
Yeah.
Bam.
Thanks for that reminder there, Bruiser. Yeah, we go.
Yeah, and then Sons of Anarchy. We were talking about that too.
Yeah. Wow, your references are dead on today, Bruiser.
Hey,
We
told you, pop culture, man, and murder and mayhem for some reason intrigued me. And you used to always think you'd bury him with the daisies, popping up daisies, and that's where the body was.
Wow.
You never heard that?
You're like the Dr. Green Thumb of murder references today.
Sorry.
It's great. We go to Columbus, Georgia, where a man was taken into custody after investigators recently found a body presumed to be his missing wife buried in a shallow grave in his backyard. On June 29th, the Columbus Police Department announced detectives located remains at a property on the 2600 block of Carriage Drive while conducting a missing persons investigation. Jail records show Clarence Catrone Jr. was taken into custody on a charge of concealing death. According to WRBL-TV, the Muskogee County coroner believes the body could be Clarence's wife, Julie Catrone, who has been missing since November.
Oh, wow.
That's a good long time.
Yeah, it is.
WRBL reports cadaver dogs were brought to the scene and sniffed out 2 shovels that were close to a brick shed, which was reportedly between a wood fence and a chain fence. The body was reportedly found inside the shed. According to the Columbus Ledger-Inquirer, the remains were discovered under a raised flower bed and inside a toolbox.
Oh, so it wasn't even in the ground.
Yikes. No, it was in the ground. It was shallow, though.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Due to the body's decomposition, officials were reportedly unable to determine the person's gender. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation will perform an autopsy and identification. The Ledger-Inquirer reports investigators discovered there have been no financial transactions on Julie's credit cards, nor have any of her retirement savings been spent. So Julie and Clarence have been married for 13 years and did not have any children together. Clarence pleaded not guilty to the charge and is being held without bond. So essentially, he killed her, but didn't spend any of her money.
I was going to say, what was the point of killing her? I wonder what's going to come out of this is why he killed her. Because normally when you hear stories like this, it's the guy went out and bought a Corvette and he bought a boat and you know what I mean? Like, this is odd.
I think he just was tired of her. Seriously,
hey,
I think
we all get there.
I think he was
I'm
just
terrified of my wife. That's why I can't do it.
You're afraid she'll turn the tables on you?
She'll turn the tables and I'll be the one in the flower bed.
Like you'll make that mistake and she'll overpower you, and then the next day you're
pushing up daisies.
your tits up in bed from a pain pill overdose.
Yeah, something.
Sorry for the rude reference, but man, that's.
Do not mess with Mrs. Bruiser. I learned that very early on. Yep.
I mean, I'm just saying that, women have a cunning way of taking you out of this world. It's never.
Well, she watches all the true crime stuff with me.
Yeah.
And there's times where she'll go, why didn't they do this? And I'll look at her and go, why would you think that? Like, what?
Like I said, they have the cunning way of doing it. Men are stupid. Let's just be honest here. Let's be honest, okay?
We are.
Like men are like, okay, blunt force trauma, barrier in the flower bed. We're stupid like that because you know what? Cadaver dogs, they're gonna find you. That's the most obvious place they're gonna look. You buried her in the frickin' flower bed in your own residence. You're gonna get caught, right?
Yep.
Women are like, oh, you know what? Well, if I, just put you to sleep with your own pain medication and then I took you 150 miles north and put you in the woods where nobody would ever find you, it'd be like, oh my God, you've been planning this shit out.
Yeah. And it's that they haven't. They just know.
Yeah. And it's like, no. I just, it came up, in my mind when I was cleaning the other day and I was watching, I was watching my favorite true crime show and I just saw it there. And you're like, you did? You thought about this. You've been thinking about this.
There's an episode of Bob's Burgers, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, where he has a friend named Teddy who comes in his restaurant and eats burgers all the time. Well, Teddy's doctor says, hey, you have to stop because your cholesterol's so high. So Bob has a dream that he kills Teddy because he's feeding him all these burgers. So he wakes up and his wife Linda goes, what's the matter? He goes, I had a dream I killed Teddy. He goes, I killed Teddy. And she goes, all right, well, car's gassed up. I can homeschool the kids. We can move to here. He goes, no, in my dream. Wait, you had that already?
Well, Bruiser, part two of you buried what, where? And again, maybe I'm giving the ladies a little bit too much credit here.
I don't think you are, because out of all the serial killers that are caught, majority are men.
Yeah, true.
Not saying there's not women, but there's the one of the most famous ones is Dorothea, and she would run a house, and she was a known scam artist, but she would run a house where she would let the old and elderly come in, and she would take their social security checks. Well, then when she'd kill them, she would bury them in her yard too. But by throwing people off, she would always talk about how great her garden is and how she would use special fertilizer for her garden. So no one suspected this old lady.
Oh, yeah.
And it turns out she wasn't as old as she was saying she was. She was acting as an old lady because nobody would believe an old lady would do something like that.
True. Very true. Well, you're kind of on the right track here. We're going to Louisiana, where a woman was arrested after remains of a missing person was found buried under her home.
Ooh.
That's one strong lady.
See, in Louisiana, you could feed them to the gators. Why bury it under your house?
That's true, yeah.
I'd think Louisiana and Florida, you just go to Gator Alley, toss the body in, and hope to get... Well, then you're also taking that risk.
You want to know the best way to get rid of a body in any state? Pig farm.
Yeah, oh, yeah. You're doing some Silence of the Lambs there, some Hannibal.
Yeah, pig farm.
Yeah.
Or
everything.
Or Deadwood. They used to do that in Deadwood.
Oh, okay. I see. I'm not familiar with Deadwood.
You haven't watched the show Deadwood?
No, I've heard about it, but I haven't watched it.
You are missing out. Get yourself some HBO Max and watch Deadwood.
I got HBO, so I will put that on the list.
Yeah. 39-year-old woman has been arrested after the remains of a missing person were discovered buried underneath a home. According to a news release from I believe it's Amite City Police Department on June 24th, police received a tip that human remains could possibly be found under a home. Officers responded to the 300 block of South 3rd Street, where they reportedly entered the unoccupied residence and noticed the floor had been replaced. There's a good clue.
Yeah. Hey, look, an abandoned house, but a brand new floor.
We just thought it was time. Police said authorities uncovered the floor and dug into the ground, where they found Angela Stern's remains. The 59-year-old had been missing for over a year, according to police. The human remains were positively identified as Stern's by the Tangipahoa Parish Coroner's Office. Wow. That's a
mouthful.
Yeah, I believe it's Tangipahoa. I believe. I don't know. I don't live there.
Louisiana.
Yep. Upon further investigation, police said Joanna Phelps was arrested and charged with first-degree murder and failure to report the commission of certain felonies. She was booked into I believe it could be Tangipahoa, but I believe it's Tangipahoa Parish Jail. You can correct me if you live down there. Just email me at tim@darknessradio.com.
She could have got away with it, too. She would just age that flooring.
That's true. Tell you what, Bruiser, let's take our break right here. We're doing Rip from the Headlines today. Rip from the Headlines and Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. When we come back, former cop, unfortunately, does in his family after he was allegedly trying to escape abuse. We're also going to talk about a man who was holding a woman hostage at knife point and was shot as a result. And a Colorado funeral home owner pleads guilty to illegally, I can't even say it, selling body parts.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll get into that when we come back. You're listening to an episode of Ripped from the Headlines and Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. It's True Crime Tuesday, right here on Darkness Radio. Hey, everybody, it's your boy Timmy. You know what? We all have those times in life where we feel like we need somebody to talk to, and maybe there's nobody around that you can talk to. Maybe you don't have somebody in your life you can talk to, or maybe the people in your life just aren't the people you should be talking to in those important times you need to talk. Did I just tell you a riddle? It feels like I did. I'll give you an example. You have a time where maybe there's something deeply personal, like loss of a child. I told you just a couple of days ago that I had the loss of a child, and I didn't have very many people I felt like I could talk to. Well, what did I do? Well, I ended up going to therapy because it's the only place I felt like I could sit down and talk. I had to talk to a professional, somebody that I could get it all out to, but somebody who would actually give me an informed opinion, somebody who could actually listen. And that's kind of what I had to do. I had to sit down with somebody who could actually help me through that grief. I have to do. And I've managed to do that over the years. And one of the places I found that could help me with that, and could help me with that in the privacy of my own home, was BetterHelp. It's great because it's right there. It's right in the privacy of your home, and you could do it in a lot of different ways. You could do it either over your PC or your tablet, your laptop, your phone. It's one of those things where I don't have to get up, go to an office, be seen by people. I can bring it right to my home, and I could talk to that therapist right there. You can log into your account at any time and send a message to your therapist. If you're just sometimes in the middle of the night, you have those thoughts, or it's those feelings welling up, and you need to get it out. You need to talk to somebody. You do need to talk to somebody, and that's how you get a hold of somebody. It isn't a crisis line. Don't get me wrong. It's not self-help. It is professional therapy, and it's done securely online. It's available to people worldwide. That's a great thing about BetterHelp. You can log into your account at any time, send a message to your therapist, get a hold of them, and tell them that, hey, you know what? I'm not doing very well, but I need to talk to you. And it's important because we're in a world where, physical fitness is stressed, but we don't stress mental fitness enough. That's something we really need to do. And I know you may be saying to yourself, well, can I really trust the people that I get from BetterHelp? Maybe it's not the right person for me. Well, the great thing about BetterHelp is that it may take a few tries to find the right fit for you, but BetterHelp will make it easy for you. And it's free to change therapists if needed. So you can get the right therapist for you. And that's what's so great about BetterHelp. Also, what's great, it's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. So they work with you to get the help that you need. What's even better is they have a special offer right now for our listeners. If you go to the website right now, you can get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. One more time, that's 10% off your first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. Folks, I can't pretend to have all the answers, and our friends don't have all the answers. Our family doesn't have all the answers. We can lean on each other. We can support each other. We can be there for each other. But when it comes down to it, when you really want to be, when you need to get down to the root of a problem, when you want to be mentally fit, or maybe you just every once in a while need to clear out the cobwebs, you need to get yourself straight, and you need to just do that couch time, as my old professor used to say, and put things in line. BetterHelp is the solution to do it. And we've got the solution right here. And you can save some money while doing it. One more time, that special offer is 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. That's 10% off your first month of online therapy at betterhelp.com/darknessradio. Do it today. Welcome back to True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. Over there is Beer City Bruiser. We're doing Rip from the Headlines and Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals today. Kind of a special episode today. And let's pick it back up where we left off here, Bruiser. Kind of a sad story. A former cop accused of fatally shooting his wife and stepdaughter they were allegedly trying to escape abuse from this former cop.
Oh, he was abusing them.
He was abusing them, yeah.
Oh.
A woman.
That's sad.
Yeah, a woman and her daughter who were fatally shot last week as they were reportedly in the middle of moving out of their home to escape an abusive situation. On July 2nd, I believe this is Enrico Police announced officers and members of the fire department responded to shots fired call at a residence on Phillips Woods Drive and encouraged neighbors to stay inside their homes. Officers reportedly heard gunfire coming from inside and said 2 males ran from the residence when gunfire erupted and made it to safety. Law enforcement officials eventually took Richard Crowder into custody at 6:24 p.m. following a standoff with police. When officials went inside the home, they reportedly found 2 females deceased, who they identified as Diane Crowder and Carly Zazix. According to Enrico Police, Richard Crowder formerly worked for the Enrico County Police Division. He retired in 2014. He was booked into the Enrico County Jail on 2 counts of second-degree murder, 3 counts of use of a firearm in the commission of a felony, and 1 count of malicious shooting. WTVR-TV reports the 2 men who escaped from the home were movers, taking Diane and Zazik's belongings. One mover told WTVR the 2 of them jumped out of a window to try and escape.
Well, you got to do what you got to do if a guy's starting to shoot up the place.
Yeah. He said, I know I wouldn't be here if I didn't jump because the standoff was 9 hours. I know he walked around the house plenty of times. I know he remembered we were in there. Diane's aunt and uncle told WTVR Diane and her daughter were attempting to get out of an allegedly abusive household. Enrico County jail records show Crowder is being held without bond. That's
a sad story because they were trying to make themselves better. And that's where it comes where you can go get a restraining order, but that's just a piece of paper. If you believe you're in that much danger where you can't get in and out of the house to get your stuff, that you believe, again, he's armed and dangerous, and you want to take more measures than that. You want to be, maybe you believe you're in that type of mortal danger. Contact your local police department. See if you can get some sort of an escort to get you in and out to get your stuff. A lot of times all you have to do is have a piece of mail or something that, to show that you belong at that residence, an ID that you belong at that residence, and you just need an escort to get your stuff out. Yep. You just explain to them that you don't feel safe.
Yep.
And they will send a deputy who will monitor the situation.
Yep, exactly. And it's as simple as that in a lot of states because we don't want abuse victims losing their lives.
No, and there's a lot of resources out there if you're in an abusive relationship they will get you out, they will hide you, they will do everything they can to keep you safe in this situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just get out of it.
Yeah.
Talk to your family, talk to friends, get the help you need. And like you said, call the local sheriff.
Yeah. A lot of times
this is what's going on.
A lot of times just having a friend go over to help you get out is not enough. You need.
Well, look at this situation. There was 2 movers there. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to stop. But if there was an armed sheriff that could have.
You need the help of professionals. You need the help of professionals to get you out when it's escalated to that point. An Idaho woman accused of fatally shooting her boyfriend and keeping body in the bedroom for days.
Oh.
That's our next story. A 47-year-old woman has been arrested after allegedly fatally shooting her 41-year-old boyfriend while she was sleeping and hiding his body in their bedroom for a couple of days, according to a news release from the Shoshone County Sheriff's Office on June 29th. A patrol sergeant responded to Aaron Peterson's home to perform a welfare check but got no response. The person who requested the welfare check said Peterson had not been to work and also mentioned that Peterson was in a violent domestic relationship with his girlfriend. The sergeant reportedly tried to talk with Peterson's girlfriend, Stephanie Paris, who was inside the home, but she did not let him in. Authorities told Paris that they were there to perform a welfare check, and she said he was in the shower and would be leaving for work. That according to the Shoshone News Press.
Guess what? They're going to stay and wait till he gets out of the shower.
That's right. Yeah.
They're not leaving. They're there for a check.
They're there to see if he's okay. The responding Shoshone County Sergeant, Jared, I believe it's Belaski, told the Shoshone News Press Stephanie made multiple statements with vulgarity, some of which I was unable to understand since she was speaking through the door and the walls of the trailer. Belask reportedly told Paris he would be obtaining a search warrant, and she replied, "If you kick that door open, you're going to be dead. I'll shoot you."
Oh.
Probably the wrong response to a cop.
Yeah, no. Especially armed police that are just doing their job.
Yeah. The Kellogg Police Department held the residence as the sergeant obtained a search warrant, the sheriff's office said. Before the sergeant returned, Paris reportedly came out of the home with a 4-month-old infant.
Oh, no.
Yeah. During the search of the home, authorities located Peterson's body, and it was transported to the medical examiner's office for further investigation. According to the sheriff's office, he reportedly had multiple gunshot wounds on his back. Court documents obtained by KREM-TV allege that Paris hid her boyfriend's body in their bedroom for 2 days. According to KREM, Paris told investigators she had been taunted by voices and feelings in her head, and then she shot Peterson while he was sleeping. Yikes. Paris.
I wonder what her plan was, just keeping him there for the 2 days. Because people plan on the murder, or they'll do the murder. They don't plan on the aftercare.
Well, I
not care. It's the wrong word.
suppose if she was hearing voices, she didn't know.
Yeah.
If she's, having a problem with mental illness, she had no plan.
Right. Maybe she should ask the voices what they had in mind for the body afterward.
No idea. Well, if you're going up against cops and saying you break this door down and I'll shoot you, evidently it wasn't good. There was no plan. The plan was there's no end game to this deal. Paris was arrested, charged with murder, failure to report a dead body, and resist and obstruct. Her bail was set at $500,000. Peterson and Paris reportedly lived together with Paris's son, his wife, and their 4-month-old.
I feel bad for that 4-month-old, because that 4-month-old is the one that's going to suffer the consequences of everything that just happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's an innocent child.
Right. We go to Florida, where a man accused of holding a woman hostage at knife point is shot by a Florida deputy.
Okay.
And the picture, I don't know if this is of the guy or the woman, but somebody's got an extremely swollen forehead and eye. A 20-year-old man accused of holding a woman hostage at knife point was shot by a Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy. According to a news release from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office on Saturday, July 2nd, shortly before 6:30 a.m., deputies responded to the 2200 block of Larkspur Trail in an unincorporated Boca Raton to perform a welfare check, another welfare check here. At the scene, authorities reportedly heard a female victim screaming for help. Deputies found the female victim after making a forced entry and discovered she was being held against her will at knife point by, it looks like, Zvi Alswang. That's an unusual name, too. The sheriff's office said the victim was reportedly transported to a hospital where she was in stable condition. According to the sheriff's office, the suspect, Alswang, was involved in a shooting and shot by Palm Beach County Sergeant William Nagaris.
Was it fatal, do they say?
I'm getting there. Alswang reportedly had to be transported to a separate hospital in critical condition. The sheriff's office announced on July 5th that Alswang is expected to survive and was in stable condition. Alswang was eventually arrested and booked into Palm Beach County main detention center on July 6th with multiple counts, including kidnapping, premeditated first-degree murder, and sexual assault with a weapon or force against a person 12 years of age or older.
So he just wanted to just take advantage of her.
I guess, yeah.
They didn't know each other. This was just a random act of a guy being a dick.
Yep. A random act of a guy being a dick.
I don't know how else to put
that's
it.
on the books, Bruiser. I think that's statute 487604.
And I'm glad that the officer didn't fatally shoot him. I shouldn't say I'm glad, because he's harming somebody, but it can show that a situation can be brought into control with non-lethal violence. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yep, that makes sense. This one's kind of an icky story. We go to Colorado where a funeral home owner pleads guilty to illegally selling body parts.
Ugh. That's some H.H. Holmes stuff there.
Yeah, a 45-year-old woman pled guilty on federal court this past week to selling body parts from the funeral home she owned and operated. In a statement, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Colorado announced Megan Hess entered the plea for 1 count each of mail fraud. Oh, it was going over the U.S. mail. And aiding and abetting. Starting in 2010, Hess reportedly devised and executed a scheme to steal the body or body parts of hundreds of victims and then sold those remains to victims purchasing the remains for scientific, medical, or educational purposes. According to the Department of Justice, Hess was indicted on 9 charges on March 17th, 2020. Hess and her mother, Shirley Koch, or it could be Koch, one or the other, ran Sunset Mesa Funeral Directors, which would provide cremation and other burial services. They reportedly charged $1,000 minimum for cremations, which the Department of Justice said often did not occur. Oh, so they didn't even do the cremations.
No, you just got a jar full of ashes of something.
It was probably mom and daughter hitting the Pall Malls and then just ashing in a container, and that's what you got.
Do you think she got busted because her Yelp review, someone Yelp reviewed, I ordered a left hand. She sent me a right hand.
Yeah, it could be. In 2009, Hess reportedly created a nonprofit called Sunset Mesa Funeral Foundation Donor Services. Ew.
So she's using a charity as a front.
I guess. Hess and Koch reportedly failed to follow family wishes and neither discussed and nor obtained authorization for donor services to transfer descendants' bodies or body parts to third parties. The Justice Department said Koch and Hess reportedly gave families ashes that were not of their loved ones.
Nope. It's like you said, they were smoking some Pall Malls and putting it in that urn.
Additionally, Hess and Koch reportedly shipped bodies and body parts that tested positive for or belonging to people who had died from infectious diseases, including hepatitis B and C and HIV, after certifying to buyers that the remains were disease-free.
So they're spreading those diseases because I think they still live, even though your body's dead, correct? I think. I'm not too scientifically up to date.
I'm not sure on that. They often sent the remains either in the mail or on commercial flights.
Oh, wait a minute. So you're telling me one of the flights I could have taken could have possibly had someone's thigh on it?
Probably. According to the Daily Sentinel, Koch could face up to 20 years for mail fraud, though the plea agreement will reportedly lessen that term significantly. Koch's change of plea hearing is scheduled for July 12th, which has already... Nope,
it's tomorrow.
It's today.
Well, it's today, yep. Yeah.
And Hess's sentencing was scheduled for January. So there you go.
What a scam.
Yeah.
And I wonder, it was for scientific stuff, which is good. I mean, there's no freaks out there that are buying body parts. But there's got to be a way to get this stuff legally. I think it's covered by a grant or something.
It was just a scam just to make more money on the side. That's all it was. Yeah. There was nothing scientific about it.
H.H. Holmes that's how he would get away with a lot of his murders is he would, after he killed people, he would just sell their bodies to universities because this is back in the 1800s.
That's how he made his money.
Yeah.
Because it was expensive.
Yeah. For a whole body, he'd get a bunch of money. And I mean, he was a con artist too, but that's how he hid that's why they don't know how many people he killed because it was given away for medical research.
Right.
Or sold, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're getting down to the last few stories here of ripped from the headlines. And, just blowing your hand off, we were talking dumb crime, stupid criminals over the July 4th weekend. Man blew his hand off playing with fireworks. We thought And as we were sitting here talking about it, Bruiser, we thought, okay, just stay home.
Yes.
Easiest way to not blow your hands off of fireworks or get injured by fireworks, just stay home.
Or don't hold fireworks when they're when they're lit.
Right. Yeah, that too. But just stay home, watch the fireworks on TV, right?
Exactly.
No,
Easy.
Nope. Or even just go to the municipal celebrations, watch them there. It's nice and safe, right?
Exactly.
Nope.
There's professionals doing it.
Nope. That's not even safe. Are you ready for this?
That's not even safe.
Nope. We're going to Los Angeles. A suspect is still at large after allegedly invading a home and fatally beating a 64-year-old man while he was watching fireworks with his family.
What? He was just enjoying the 4th.
Yeah, no.
Why do you gotta do that, dude? You ruined the 4th for him.
Yep. According to a news release from the Los Angeles Police Department on July 4th at approximately 9:30 p.m., Hollenbeck area patrol officers responded to the 2000 block of Griffin Avenue where they found the deceased victim, Jose Mancia. Upon further search of the home, police said Mancia's family was hiding in the home. According to KTTV, Mancia was watching fireworks with his wife outside when the suspect entered the apartment. The victim allegedly went inside the home at some point and ran into the intruder. The two were reportedly heard arguing before the suspect beat Mancia. Mancia's wife did not endure any physical injuries, according to the TV station. She told KNBC TV that the suspect beat her husband to death with the cane he used to walk.
Oh my, that's just...
Ripped it out of his hand and beat him to death.
There's nothing in this world worth doing that. I would have... This intruder should have, first of all, not been intruding, but if he felt the need, as soon as the old guy walked in, you put your hands up, I wasn't here, and you leave.
Mancia allegedly suffered several strokes in the past and was partially paralyzed and sometimes used a wheelchair. According to KNBC, the suspect is a man who was seen wearing a mask and dark clothes. Police did not specify any other details about the suspect.
See, so he didn't have to beat him. He was already covered. They wouldn't have been able to identify him. It was just unnecessary.
Yep. All right. Let me see here. How are we going to be? Okay, we're gonna do one more story here, and then we're on to dumb crimes, stupid criminals.
Sounds good to me.
We're going to try to end it on a good note here. Ripped from the headlines. We're going to go with a hero citizen who helped thwart an alleged planned July 4th mass shooting in Richmond, Virginia. Now, we did have the one in Highland Park.
Yeah.
Could have been worse. I know it's kind of a, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, glass half empty, half full type deal. But police say a hero citizen helped stop what could have potentially been a mass shooting at the Richmond, Virginia July 4th celebration. On Wednesday, July 6th, Richmond Police Chief Gerald Smith spoke at a press conference about a tip officers received, a swift investigation that followed, and the arrest of 2 individuals. Smith said that an individual, who he referred to as a hero citizen, reportedly overheard a conversation July 1st about a planned shooting at Richmond's Dogwood Deli, which is a public amphitheater that puts on plays, concerts, and other shows. The citizen called Richmond police and reported it to officers from the 2nd Precinct. According to Smith, police began investigating residents on the 1000 block of Columbia Avenue alongside Homeland Security and the police department's Special Investigations team. When detectives made their way inside the residence, they reportedly saw evidence in plain view that corroborated the hero citizen's statement that there was a concern. Investigators reportedly seized 2 assault rifles, 1 handgun, and 223 rounds of ammo.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad they got that off the street.
Julio of Alvarado was taken into custody for being a non-U.S. citizen in possession of a firearm. Smith says investigators began surveying a second suspect throughout the holiday weekend. They eventually arrested Rolman Balasarsal on the same charges as Alvarado. The FBI also assisted in the investigation. Both men were booked into the Richmond County Jail without bond. Smith noted there's no telling how many lives this hero citizen saved by this one phone call. So there we'll end ripped from the headlines with that one good story.
Yeah, you gotta excuse my Ziggy Star pups running around crazy. So if you hear that, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. What is he tearing up the?
She's just a puppy and having fun.
No, there you go. There you go.
But I'm glad that there's heroes out there, and people nowadays need to do that. What was that they always said in the airport? See something, say something.
That's right.
Remember that was the big thing after 9/11?
Yep.
I think we need that nowadays too, where see something, say something. Because look what happened. That person said something and prevented a mass. Because instead of 2 on July 4th, we just had the 1. Which
That's right.
Cup half full is what I'm trying to do there, you know?
Half full, half empty.
Yeah.
So with that, it's time now for us to jump into dumb crimes and stupid criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time once again, Bruiser. We're jumping into dumb crimes and stupid criminals. This time, we're going to start off with a dumb dispatcher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's no one should ever have to call into 911 and have to explain that, yes, you mean it when you're calling 911.
They didn't believe him.
You really do need someone to come out. And yes, you really do want them to come out and help you. And you really are in need, and you're not going to fake it this time.
This time. Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why a dispatcher would need to know if you sincerely need somebody or not.
I just assume if someone's calling 911, there's a legitimate reason until after you get to talking to them. And then you find, okay, this is a drunk person or whatever.
After a death, a 911 dispatcher faces rare charges. No ambulance was sent after an operator wanted an assurance that the patient would agree to go.
Well, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. There's been times that they asked me if I want an ambulance, and I've said no because I couldn't afford it. But I still needed them to come to take a look at me, and then they say, you need to go to the hospital. Like, okay, I'm going to get in this car, and I will drive to the hospital.
I hear you. A 911 dispatcher was going to send an ambulance. He told the Pennsylvania woman on the phone whose mother couldn't walk or speak and was turning yellow, but he had questions first, according to a recording. We really need to make sure she's willing to go, he said. Kelly Tichenel, who was driving to her mother's rural home, answered, "She will be because I'm on the way there. So she's going or she's going to die." The dispatcher repeated the question, with Tichenel finally saying, "Okay, well, can we just try?" He told her to call back when she arrived and made sure her mother would agree to go to the hospital. No ambulance arrived. The dispatcher, Leon Price, has been charged with involuntary manslaughter. An investigation of the July 2020 call found that the dispatcher's actions violated protocol. It is alleged Ms. Cronk's death is the direct result of the 911's violation of those policies and procedures, the Greene County District Attorney's Office said in a statement. Price is also charged with recklessly endangering another person, official oppression, and obstruction, the office said. District Attorney Dave Russo said Kronk was denied medical services, although 3 ambulances were available at the time. 3 of them.
So this guy thought it was like a Jerky Boys thing. Like, oh, you're pulling my leg. Yeah, no one turns yellow.
I don't know. I believe she would be alive today if they would have sent an ambulance, her daughter said. 54-year-old Kronk, who had been drinking, died of internal bleeding the next day. Tichenel has filed a federal lawsuit against Price, the county, and 2 911 supervisors, charging callous refusal of public emergency medical services. Criminal charges against dispatchers are rare, and the National Emergency Number Association's General Counsel, or said the National Emergency Number Association's General Counsel. They were quoting. A 911 operator in Detroit was fired in 2008 and given a year's probation after hanging up on a 5-year-old who called to report his mother had collapsed. That according to John Kelly.
Yeah, Your job as a 911 operator. Someone calls for help. They need help. You send help.
Yeah.
And I know there's questions they got to ask. You know what I mean? But one of them shouldn't be, well, are they going to go? It should be, no, what made them collapse? What's going on? Are they turning blue? Are they breathing? You know what I mean?
Always err on the side of caution.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and if the leave it up to the paramedics to decide whether or not there's something wrong with that person.
Exactly. Do you watch The Real Housewives by chance? Any of those shows?
No, Mrs. Bruiser's a big fan of them, though.
Well, one of them is going up the river, I guess. Jen Shaw pleads guilty in a fraud case. She said, I knew this was wrong. We're talking about The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and one of its stars, Jen Shaw, on Monday pleaded guilty to a federal fraud charge for running a multi-state telemarketing scam. The 48-year-old Shaw was arrested last year and charged with ripping off hundreds of victims by running the scheme in 6 states over a span of 10 years. On Monday, she copped to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud in a Manhattan federal court. From 2012 to March of 2021 in the Southern District of New York and elsewhere, I agreed with others to commit wire fraud, Shaw, who wore a dark blue pantsuit, told U.S. District Judge Sidney Stein. I did this by knowingly providing customer names to people who were marketing business services that had little or no value, she said, adding that buyers were misled about the value, and that's why they bought the services. I know this was wrong, Shaw said, and told the judge. I know many people who were harmed, and I am so sorry. She faces up to 30 years in prison, the judge said. She's due to be sentenced in the case on November 28th.
Finally, a telemarketer got what's coming to them. Don't call me at dinner and ask me about my auto warranty.
If only it were that auto warranty thing that she's being nailed for.
I got to the point with them where I just decided to have fun. And when they, like, if it was an auto one and they ask you what car it was, they'd always say it was an 88 DeLorean or an 85 DeLorean. And they go, oh, how many miles? I said, I don't know. Let me look at the flux capacitor. And I just described basically the DeLorean from Back to the Future.
You know, you can buy a flux capacitor at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I do know that. You put in the point, what is it, the gigawatts number in there?
Yep.
But I should have recorded these because you would have got a kick. I would see how mad I could get them. And I've gotten plenty of times where I've been cursed out on the phone. I had one guy where I'd repeat every question he said. I had one where I would answer hello, and then I would just start talking like I was having a like I butt dialed them.
Okay.
Even though they called me. You know, it's like I've got all the time in the world. If you want to bug me, and I get it's their job. They're doing what they have to do.
Yeah.
But come on.
But it's fun to have a little fun with them.
It is.
By the way, the business that Jen Shaw was in, they duped investors, most of them over 55, to invest in dubious online projects and selling bogus business services from 2012 until this year.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Was she the one whose husband was found, and then he, instead of going bankrupt, he left everything to like her or something like that?
I'm not quite sure. I don't watch those shows.
I don't either. I'll have to ask Mrs. Bruiser. She was all about that.
More extortion for you if you're ready for this.
Oh, of course. We're always up for more extortion.
This is the ultimate in dumb crimes. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
Because you would think being, I don't know if you're familiar with the OnlyFans. Me, myself, I have no idea what this is.
I am. I actually want to start an OnlyCans where it's just me drinking beer.
Oh, there you go. OnlyCans where you're drinking beer. I like it.
Yeah. Or I want to start an OnlyFans, but on my OnlyFans, I only post pictures of my fans.
I like it.
Yeah. Marketing.
So here you go. Here's another one of my fans, and then a picture of them. Here's another one of my fans, and a picture of them.
Because this is OnlyFans.
Right. I like it.
Thank you.
Good idea, Bruiser. Extortion rap for a woman over her OnlyFans pics. You too can try to extort from your person who's on OnlyFans. Only problem is, dummy, they've already put the pictures up on OnlyFans.
Yeah, and they're protected. Like you can't get them other places but OnlyFans.
Well, here's the kicker. If you tell them, I'm going to show your mommy and your grandma Chances are they probably already know. Let's read the story, shall we? It's kind of a stupid story. In a bid to recoup a $45 debt from a former girlfriend, a Florida woman allegedly copied images from her ex's OnlyFans page and threatened to send the nude photos to the victim's mother and grandmother, according to an extortion complaint.
Did they skip over the part where mom and grandma are in the pictures with her?
I think so, or they're taking them. Yeah. I think, that's probably the one that...
Who do you think's taking these pictures?
Yeah, I don't know. Investigators say a 24-year-old, that's part of it, Eliza Jean, I believe it's Limite, was in a romantic relationship with the victim and in the early stages of dating when she threatened to disseminate her nude images if not paid $45. We'll just say it's Limite. Cops charge.
45, she's blackmailing her
for $45.
What, do you need a tank of gas?
Yeah, exactly. I need a bus ticket.
Like, come on.
$45.
Extort money. Yeah.
$45 isn't even lunch money.
No. That's not even a date to the movies nowadays.
Yeah. Limite cops charge went to the victim's OnlyFans page and screenshotted nude images and saved them to her camera roll without authorization. Limite then texted one of the nude images to a third party and sent this proof of dissemination to the victim. In a subsequent text to the victim, Limite allegedly demanded the $45 you owe me or else.
So she just wanted to be paid back. There's other ways of going about that.
She said she would send your nudes everywhere. And yes, I have them all. Maybe mom would want to see them or grandma.
She has an OnlyFans. She knows that her nudes are on the internet. She put them there.
Yeah. I think mom and grandma probably saw it from the beginning.
Yeah. Grandma's probably like, oh, I know her. I've seen that.
I saw that tushy when I was little.
Grandma sends in a pic of her as a baby, like laying on a bear rug. Yeah. Because that was the rage. I don't know about when you were a kid, but it was a rage when I was a kid that parents would put their babies on a bearskin rug and take a picture.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So grandma just sends one back, like, pay me $45. Here's her ass on a bear rug.
This one's worth $50. It's so cute. Limite was arrested Sunday on a felony extortion charge. She subsequently was released from the county jail after posting how much bond, Bruiser?
More than $45.
Oh, yes.
I would say $500.
Oh, you're going low here, my friend.
You always yell at me when I go too high. Okay. $2,350. $2,350.
Keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
$5,000.
Keep going higher.
Okay. Let's see what.
$10,000 bond.
Oh, so who should get extort that from?
I don't know. She better have more nudes out there, though. According to online profiles, Limite graduated from the University of Tampa, evidently not a school that teaches common sense.
I don't know if there's any Florida schools that teach that.
She got a criminology degree.
So she knew what she was doing was illegal.
She works as a legal assistant at a Tampa law firm. She'll probably be fired.
Do you think that she's going with them for her defense team?
They probably won't represent her.
No? You don't think there's like an employee discount for her or anything?
They'll probably say you should have known better. She also
probably should have said, here's $45, leave that poor girl alone.
Exactly. She also operates an online business selling Zen candles, crystals, and art.
Ah, okay. So Etsy.
She probably should have got the $45 from there. What's that?
Do you think she started an OnlyFans to raise the $10,000?
She should. She should get on that right away. Let's see how much we can push through the border category.
I think I know where you're going with this, because I was doing cardio yesterday. I literally had to look up at the TV like 4 times because I didn't believe what I read.
Let's see if this is the one you read.
If it's the California border, then
yes, it is. Yep.
Okay. Yep. You now see why I had to look up a couple times. Going, huh?
More than 5,000 pounds of meth is seized in a monumental California bust.
Do you have a picture of it in front of you?
I do.
How they piled it up like a pyramid. It looks like a pyramid from Giza, doesn't it? Like one of the pyramids of Giza.
Yeah, and there's a chocolate lab in front of it, and the lab
so happy.
The lab is like engulfed by this pyramid of meth.
Yeah, and the lab looks so proud, like I found this.
I got it all. This is all my dog food. The lab has no idea.
No, the lab's just doing his job. He just wants to play with this toy.
Yeah, he wants to take it out and have somebody throw it to him. And then he'll be running all day long and lose all his teeth. More than 5,000 pounds of methamphetamine was smuggled into the U.S. from Mexico, and it was confiscated, by the way, because you can't smuggle 5,000 pounds of meth into our border. It's physically impossible.
That person has a big butt.
That is a big cavity search, by the way. Now, here's how they did it.
You are 80% meth right now.
My God, sir. Your ass is as big as the border.
You are going to be popular in prison, sir.
You don't fit through the gate. So it was confiscated in a record-breaking seizure. I would have had a seizure if someone tried to shove 5,000 pounds of meth up my ass.
Me too.
Probably would have happened at the 1,000 mark. Right there in Southern California. The bust, which marked one of the largest meth seizures ever in San Diego County, occurred after agents spotted a 20-foot commercial box truck crossing into the U.S. How obvious could you be?
No,
Hey.
the obvious part was it said meth or us on the side.
It says hurts on the side for a reason. Because it's going to hurt when you pull me over and arrest me with all this meth I'm about to lose.
They probably shouldn't have been playing that ice cream jingle while they were crossing the border either.
Yeah, exactly. That'll attract attention. So it occurred after agents spotted a 20-foot commercial box truck crossing into the U.S. via the Otay Mesa commercial port of entry on Thursday. God,
They tried to pull an Obi-Wan. This is not the meth you're looking for.
These are not the packages you're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
How incredibly stupid. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of California, this monumental seizure represents another win against drug cartels that fuel addiction in the United States, said DEA Special Agent in charge Shelley Howe, who couldn't believe her incredible luck. Federal prosecutors said 4 suspects from Tijuana, Mexico, who were obviously high at the time they tried this.
So there was actually 6,000 pounds before they got in the country. You think that's what the meth dealer, the guy who cooked it up, is like, what happened to the other 500 pounds? They only found 5,000?
We smoked it. We're seen
good.
We're seen unloading dozens of cardboard boxes from the truck and packing them into a Dodge van.
Of course. They watch Breaking Bad.
So wait a minute. So
They're going from a bigger car to a littler car.
they hit the border and went, oh, shit, this is never going to work. And started unpacking it into a van?
Nobody's going to see us quick. Let's do this quickly.
Agents then apprehended the suspects in National City, where they found roughly 148 bundles of a substance that tested positive for meth. The total amount weighed in excess of 5,000 pounds.
Jeez.
The suspects were identified as the stupidest people in the world.
Oh, yeah.
They are 37-year-old Rafael Alzua, 41-year-old Mario Contreras, 44-year-old Edgar Velasquez, and 41-year-old Galdrino Contreras. If convicted of conspiracy to distribute methamphetamine, they face a mandatory minimum of 10 years in prison and up to life behind bars, as well as a $10 million fine, which they'll never make.
No.
Because they lost their drugs.
They could start an OnlyFans.
That's true. They could start an OnlyFans. It's unclear if they've hired attorneys who could speak on their behalf. Here's what the attorney would say. Your Honor, I got nothing. Can't explain it.
All the attorneys they try to hire just reading through the file. Oh, okay. You crossed the border. You crossed it in a box truck. Okay. You stopped in order to move the stuff to a smaller vehicle.
Did you think all 5,000 pounds would fit in the van?
No. Plus the 4 of them.
Yeah, I did.
That's why they were high. They were trying to cut it down because they got to get it in this van.
I'm just curious. Not saying I'm going to represent you at all, but who was going to ride on the roof and on the hood? Who's going to do the roof? Who's going to do the hood? And do y'all have passports?
I would represent them just to find out their thinking behind it, so I could slap them up beside the head. Because whenever I did something stupid as a kid, my dad always slapped me in the back of the head.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I just walked on the line. Whack, whack.
You would have 4 smugglers with flat back heads.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why did you choose a box truck? Whack. Why did you choose brown boxes? Whack. What was with the neon sign that says no meth here? Whack.
Jeez. The suspects who were charged in federal court this past Friday were nabbed as sheriff's detectives tracked the truck that was connected to another large meth seizure 2 months ago.
So wait, there was already a seizure and they didn't decide to change plates?
I guess not.
Or use a different vehicle?
No. DEA Special Agent Rashad Scott wrote in probable cause affidavit that the same box truck was linked to a 1,772-pound meth seizure in San Diego on May 12th.
Do you think the cartel down there is like, you think that was big, man? Wait till you see this one, man. We got you, man.
An alert was placed on the vehicle, Scott wrote. So they already knew it was coming. If they brought it back, if they're stupid enough to bring it over the border once, they're going to get them again.
I bet you the next one's going to be a 10,000-pound one.
Well, if they can fit it. San Diego County Sheriff's officials had followed the truck, which first stopped in Olay Mesa, where a driver handed over the keys to another man, Scott wrote. The second driver then headed west towards National City, where 4 suspects later loaded the truck's cargo into 2 waiting vans. All 4 men denied knowing what was in the packages. Alzua told investigators that he had been recruited to move some boxes. And so he was like, oh, sure, no problem. I'm just a mover. Velasquez said he walked across the border from Tijuana after being asked by Mario or Galdrino Contreras to drive a truck. He claimed he didn't know that the narcotics were packed into the vehicle, according to Scott's affidavit. The Contreras brothers...
What do you expect when you're on the border and a guy goes, hey, you want to drive a truck across the border for me?
No.
Sure, I'm a nice guy. I'll do that.
The Contreras brothers told agents they thought they were smuggling marijuana and would be compensated for their efforts. Oh, so that's so much better. Oh, it's not meth, it's marijuana. And that's
it's legal in California, isn't it?
Not that way.
They don't know that. They're just thinking, oh, marijuana is legal in California. I'll drive that across.
From burning down a little meth to burning down a little store.
Okay.
With a goop candle.
A goop candle? Not familiar.
You're not familiar with Gwyneth Paltrow and her goop candles?
No.
The vagina-scented candle? You never heard of that?
What?
Come on, Bruiser, get with the times.
It's what? It is. You're making that up.
No. No, I'm not. You got your twatter machine there?
Yeah.
Okay, look up just on a Google browser. Google goop and vagina scented candle.
I'm not going to get in trouble with my wife, am I?
No, she'll probably order one. She'll know. Just spin around and say, honey, you know about goop, right? She'll tell you.
Okay, you are. This smells like my vagina candle.
See? I'm not lying to you.
What is that?
See?
$75?
Mm-hmm.
Why buy the cow when you can get it for free?
He says live on air. Well, like you got a shot with... Shall I tell the missus you have a shot with Gwyneth Paltrow now?
I don't want to smell hers. I've heard of farts in jars. This is a new one.
You just compared farts in jars with the Goop candle.
Well, because people are buying, like if I knew I could bottle my farts and sell them to make a living, I will. But how? Okay, so Gwyneth Paltrow literally had to go through a thing of smelling different scents. Going,
no, she smelled her own brand and put it in a candle.
That's not mine. It's just like, yes, it smells like my vagina. What?
She's like, somebody wants to smell. She was like, somebody's going to get a whiff of my love cave and decide that that's pleasing.
So this little shop that burned down smelled like vagina.
Well, not necessarily. We're taking it beyond what Goop is an overall brand. That was one thing they offer. They offer much more. I'm an educated, enlightened 2020 man.
It worries me you know this much about Gwyneth Paltrow's vagina.
Well, no, there's more than just there's other things. Look at the other things there, Bruiser, while I talk about this story.
Do you want to buy a vagina candle that's called Goop?
I didn't. No, Goop is the brand name. It's it's like Coke and Pepsi. It's Goop is the. Now you're twisting my words. Goop has other things. They have beauty products that aren't necessarily around the vajayjay. But they also have sex products. She also has a Netflix show around her products. She's kind of a freak. I'm not going to lie. The minute
you think?
Wasn't it Brad Pitt who left her? Which actor left her?
The lead singer of Coldplay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the minute Chris Martin gave her the heave-ho, she became a freak.
Yeah, their child Apple.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Anywho, some strangely serious stories some seriously strange stories have surfaced over the years in regards to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop brand. But this one is right up there, and it involves the police.
Okay,
so that's why it's on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals.
Just follow the smell of vagina. You'll get there, cop.
Just follow the smell of Gwyneth Paltrow. As a police blotter item in the East Hampton Star explains, 2 men caught fire in a Goop store in the Hamptons after a most unusual explosion. The no-joke part of the story is that both men were hospitalized after the incident in Sag Harbor Village for treatment of burns. As for what caused this, a Goop rep, say that 10 times fast, has confirmed that there was an accidental fire in connection with a s'mores station inside the store. You can't make it up.
They had a s'mores station I would visit that store.
I think they made one. The 2 men did. With
got a bunch of Goop.
One of their candles.
Give me the vagina candle. Come on, put it here. Let's make some s'mores. We'll make some vagina s'mores.
Now you're onto it. Here's the story. A story at People magazine attempts to unpack that by talking to Village Police Chief Austin McGuire, who says the store was having some kind of an event on the day in question. Upon arrival, he said he was informed that the stone candle holders were being filled with rubbing alcohol, and event goers were using this method to melt marshmallows for s'mores.
What? No, that's not how that works. Just light a candle and put your marshmallow. Have they never made s'mores before?
Apparently, this very bad idea came from social media. I've been doing this for 26 years, and I've seen a lot, but nothing like this, McGuire told People magazine. The incident remains under investigation, and the particulars remain in question. The Goop rep told today that the information about the rubbing alcohol and candies is factually incorrect, and that, or rather candies.
Wait,
yeah.
So now there's vagina candy?
No. They have that certain flavor you just can't get rid of. That the information about the rubbing alcohol and candles is factually incorrect, and that no candles were in use at the time of the accidental fire. But whatever was happening led to what the police blotter items describes as a large explosion in flames. Police say a fire extinguisher on the premises kept things from getting worse. We're wishing a speedy recovery to the two injured parties and are grateful there were no additional injuries, says the Goop rep.
Well, they can't be that stupid if they had a fire extinguisher in a candle store. Like they did something, right?
You have to have one in a candle store.
Yeah, but how many times do you hear people skipping the protocol? You know, like, oh, why would we need a fire extinguisher in a candle store? No, you know, everyone loves the smell of vagina. I just don't get this. This story. This is the epitome of dumb crime, stupid criminals right now. Hey, we saw something online. Let's try it.
There is just on a side note, there's a story out there back from 2020 that the UK medical chief thinks that Gwyneth Paltrow's show is dangerous on Netflix.
Okay.
Should come with a health warning, he says.
I really don't want to watch this show, Tim, but the more and more you're talking about it, the more and more it's going to go on my list. And it's going to sit there, and I'm going to question every time I click, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to stare. I'm like,
and just for your information, Bruiser, and nobody else's, because nobody, I think, is caring about this other than you right now.
I am. I don't know why.
About the vagina candle. And let me go on and tell you, my friend, what exactly is on that page that you're not looking at right now.
I looked it up. I saw the price, and it just...
Is it still $75?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, because they also have This Smells Like My Orgasm candle.
I could have gone all day without knowing that.
Okay, or Hands Off My Vagina candle in white.
Okay.
What did you send me to?
This candle is made with geranium, citrusy bergamot, and cedar absolutes juxtaposed with damask rose and ambrit seed to put us in mind of fantasy seduction and a sophisticated warmth. The product is listed on the Goop website reads. So if you would have went a little further, it gets sophisticated on your ass.
Well, I just found probably my favorite smelling candle, and I don't know what it is, but the candle is called Goopy, or Goop. This smells like my poochie.
Oh, there you go.
What's a poochie?
Well, you're about to find out. Go ahead and order one. Just
no. So if I spend $75 on something that says vagina on it, my wife's gonna come and go, need to talk.
You're not putting your thing in that, are you? That's what she's gonna say. You're not putting your thing in that, are you?
So it says here that Kourtney Kardashian came up with this smells like my poochie, and Gwyneth Paltrow loved it and put it in her Goop line.
Oh, well, there you go. Wouldn't you like a little Kourtney Poochie around the house? I say just order the thing first of all.
No.
Hide the box or burn it in the backyard, and just set it down and let her light it. Just let her light it, and get a little Poochie stank around the house. See if she enjoys it.
If there's a Goop rep out there, Tim and I would love a sample of Poochie and vagina smelling candles.
You can.
How would your old man ghost in your basement feel if he had a Poochie candle lit?
He'd probably start throwing shit around the basement.
He probably would.
What the hell is that? I haven't smelled that in 200 years. It smells like Da Nang. I try to stay away from that in Da Nang, and all of a sudden you make my work area smell like it.
I wonder what would happen if I lit one of those in a professional wrestling locker room.
They probably would. You know what? A professional wrestling locker room smells like balls and Cheetos anyway.
It's the worst smelling locker room ever.
It probably would make it smell better. I say you buy one and bring it to.
Would you stop it?
Buy one and bring it to AML.
I don't want to deal with when the wife looks at the credit card statement and says $75 for Poochie vagina.
It would just say for Goop. That's all it would say.
Which is still not good.
It should say, what did you bring? Why did you buy that, honey? And you say, honey, listen, the locker room smells like ass and balls. And we need we need, the boys aren't bringing anything. They're not bringing Glade sticks in or Glade spray or Febreze.
True.
And you know what, honey? It makes the boys a little springier in the ring. They've got a little extra spring in their step. We're getting a better performance out of them when we don't know what's happening.
The vagina makes them better performers. Huh?
That's right. A little spring in their step.
She'd be like, I know you're married. I know what your performance looks like. You don't need this handle.
And funny, there's always an extra handle to grab onto when I go down to do the Death Valley Driver.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we digress. We're getting off topic here, but there you go.
Yes.
There's
and you were worried we didn't have that many stories and we wouldn't be able to fill the time.
No, I didn't. I just said
filled it with Pushy vagina.
I just said that there wasn't as many stories this week as for dumb crime, stupid criminals.
Thank you to idiots out there that believe everything on social media to burn down your store because you brought this entertainment to Tim and I.
Yeah, I mean, don't fill stone holders with alcohol in a goop store, and by all means, keep getting that Pushy candle. Now, see, we're going to get a bunch of email from people who enjoy the candle.
Yeah.
Who say, you know what? I like to come home and fire it up when I come home from work. I enjoy a good
Poosh.
You said it, I didn't. I was trying to handle it as an adult.
So Ziggy Star Pup the other day got really excited. And she's a puppy, you know that. She's only, I think, 14 weeks. Uh-huh. Well, she got excited and forgot to let us know she had to go to the bathroom, so she started shitting on the ground. So I'm yelling, no. So now she's running.
You can't make a candle out of that, by the way.
Well, so we clean it up, but the smell was still there.
Yeah.
So we brought some candles. We went with pine and sugar cookie.
Oh, nice.
Do you think Mrs. Bruiser would have been okay if I said, hey, instead of these, let's just spend $75 on goop vagina smelling candles?
No. It's geranium, citrusy bergamot, and cedar absolutes. With a little bit of damask rose and ambrit seed.
Okay.
It puts us in the mind of fantasy, seduction, and a sophisticated warmth. On top of dog shit. So I'm just saying, it's all there. It's all there.
It's all there.
It's all there. Yeah.
Honey, why are you getting turned on when the dog takes a shit? I don't know. It's just something.
But hey, why not?
Okay, I digress.
All right. Let's move on, shall we?
Let's please.
Okay. Video shows two rescued after being thrown from a boat in the circle of death. If you're gonna capsize your boat, don't do it in the circle of death.
That's the wrong place you want to be.
Yeah. A video shared by local police showed two people being rescued after being ejected from a boat and stranded in a circle of death last week. The Marshfield Police Department said it received a call on July 5th from Captain Dana Blackman of the fishing vessel. Story skipped on me here. Of the fishing vessel Finest Kind, who reported seeing a 24-foot center console boat circling at a high rate in the area of Farnham Rock Buoy number 6, about 3/4 of a mile from Brant Rock, according to a news release shared on the website of the Marshfield Police Department. Captain Blackman said two males, including one who flagged down help while waving a T-shirt in the water, were pulled from the water after he observed the circling boat. Police said the two men were somehow ejected from the boat and weren't wearing life jackets. Shame on you.
Always have a life jacket.
Or tethered to a vessel kill switch when they were found stranded within the boat's tight, out-of-control circle pattern. Marshfield police called for a temporary beach closure and a 1-mile security zone in an effort to rescue the men from the circle of death, as well as prohibit others from getting in its path as the boat continued its westerly track in a tight, high-speed tracking towards Green Harbor and Brant Rock. The sea tow managed to follow the prop using a nylon tow line after a 90-minute response, and the two men were successfully rescued without injury. Yeah, always wear your jacket.
Oh yeah, and your kill switch.
And your kill switch. You got to have that too. A man missing for 2 months fell into a shredding machine at a recycling plant.
Ouch. That would really hurt.
Yeah,
that would ruin your day.
That's why he's been missing.
So humans are not recyclable, is what you're saying?
No, you're not.
Okay.
Authorities in South Carolina have determined that a man who was reported missing on May 5th fell into a plastic shredding machine at a recycling center. Duncan Alexander Burrell Gordon, who was just 20 years old, was last seen working on the machine at Industrial Recovery and Recycling. While Gordon's father, who worked as a supervisor at the plant, checked the machine, he found no evidence that his son had fallen into it.
Wouldn't there be blood and stuff? Like every horror movie in the world has that big gush of blood afterwards.
Yeah, there's a lot of blood in the body. You would think that there would be something there. So
evidently, that guy that killed his wife and put her through the wood chipper that inspired Fargo, they found blood in that.
Yeah. Spartanburg County Coroner Rusty Clevenger noted that the machine had been checked a total of 4 times and had processed around 60,000 pounds of plastic in the 2 months since Gordon was reported missing. Boy, there's some blind people in South Carolina. Yeah. Some people who need glasses, that's for sure. During one of the inspections, a detective found what appeared to be human remains underneath the conveyor belt.
Gee, you think?
Yeah. When the remains tested positive for human blood, they contacted the coroner's office, which dispatched a forensic anthropologist and a forensic pathologist to examine the remains in the machine. I can confirm the material is consistent with human fat, microscopically minute particles of skin, and small pieces of bone, Clevenger said in a news release.
Of course it did. It's all there.
Something's afoot there. You know? I think.
You think?
Yeah, I don't think he fell into the machine.
Oh yeah, if it was checked 4 times. I wonder whoever checked it those 4 times, if it's the same person, that's my number 1 suspect.
Yep. Investigators are trying to determine how Gordon fell into the machine and if any safety violations occurred at the recycling plant. We have contacted the family and recycling operation about this matter. We are unable to issue a conventional death certificate in this matter. State regulations require another remedy for the family to get closure because there is nobody. The family has been made aware of the process, Clevenger went on to say.
That guy should have been wearing the kill switch.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing, too. There should be a safety switch when something that big falls in.
Yeah, it should be something, or you should be harnessed or something so that if you do fall, you only can fall so far.
Right. I'm going to put a disclaimer on this next story. This is according to Vice.com. So
I like Vice.
Please don't be offended by this next headline. It doesn't come from my point of view. America says, thanks for letting us nuke you. Here's a medal to atomic veterans.
What?
Yeah. During the Cold War, the Pentagon conducted dozens of nuclear tests on unwitting soldiers and civilians. Now it's giving the soldiers a medal.
No. Okay, so the guy, wait, huh? I'm so confused.
Throughout the 1950s and early 1960s, the Pentagon detonated dozens of nuclear bombs in the American Southwest and in the Pacific Ocean. It had atomic soldiers witness, work on, or monitor the explosions to see what would happen if they were exposed to radiation. In total, hundreds of thousands of civilians and soldiers were exposed to nuclear bomb blasts. Now, almost 60 years after America's last open-air nuclear test, the Pentagon is honoring the soldiers with a medal.
Why did it take 60 years? These guys are literally giving up their lives.
Yeah. The soldiers who were exposed to radiation during the course of nuclear testing or cleanup are called atomic veterans. The Secretary of Defense announced the medals in a press release that noted the service and sacrifice of the atomic soldiers. The Atomic Veterans Commemorative Service Medal recognizes that the service and sacrifice of the atomic veterans directly contributed to our nation's continued freedom and prosperity during the period following World War II and was pivotal to our nation's defense during the Cold War era. Notably, the dangerous and important work these veterans performed was often done in secret due to national security requirements, the press release said. It's impossible to know just how many atomic veterans there were, but estimates from advocacy groups put the number around 225,000 people.
Wow. I smell a comic book here. Atomic Veterans or Atomic Soldiers could be a really good graphic novel where they got like superpowers from all the radiation.
I don't think people got superpowers from this, buddy.
Well, I don't think so either, and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but
No.
that sounds like a superhero origin story.
Poet Paul Zimmer was a 19-year-old in the U.S. Army when he saw an atomic bomb go off in 1953. They didn't tell us anything about what was going to happen. No initiation, no training, he said.
Okay, that's wrong. You know, like, don't use humans as guinea pigs.
Recalling the event for This American Life, we wore our steel helmets, but were not issued earplugs, eye covers, or any protective clothing. Motherboard previously interviewed soldiers who survived the atomic tests of their own government. When the flash hit you, you could see the x-rays of your hands through your closed eyes.
Oh, wow.
Then the heat hit you, and that was as if someone my size had caught fire and walked through me. It was an experience that was unearthing. It was so strange. There were guys with bruises and broken legs. We couldn't believe it. To say it was frightening is an understatement. I think it all shocked us into silence. The most horrifying of America's nuclear experiments were conducted on the Marshall Islands between 1946 and 1958. The 1954 Castle Bravo explosion was predicted to be a 5 megaton blast, but the yield was 15 megatons.
Oh, jeez.
Sailors watching the blast from nearby Navy ships were cooked in their vessel.
Oh.
Though they survived, many would deal with health concerns for the rest of their life related to witnessing one of the largest nuclear detonations ever conducted. The people of the Marshall Islands were also coated in nuclear fallout from the repeated atomic testing. The people of the islands have experienced failing health and increased birth defects after decades of U.S. atomic testing, but America has largely ignored their plight and dismissed their concerns. Now, the soldiers who witnessed these explosions can apply online to receive a medal decades after their service ended. Veterans
Sorry for testing on you. Here's a medal.
Yeah, that's exactly
that's
what it
wrong.
Veterans eligible for the medal must have served from July 1 of 1945 to October 1st of 1992. They must also have directly participated in the detonation of an atomic weapon, the cleanup of radioactive material after a detonation or accident, or have been hit by the ionizing radiation from Fat Man or Little Boy. That sounds like our new superhero names. Which one do you want to be?
Fat Man and Little Boy.
Yeah. The Pentagon will honor some of the atomic veterans in a ceremony near the end of the year. Veterans or next of kin can apply for the medals online in the near future, according to the press release. I don't say that this is a dumb crime or a stupid criminal. I just think it's tragic.
I think it's horrible that it, first of all, it took so long to reward these men and women, but they should at least cover their medical bills, medical expense. You know what I mean? Like, they were testing on humans without the humans knowing. They didn't even know what could happen.
Yeah,
and then to turn our back on those islands, that's just wrong.
You know, you talk about people who will do anything to serve their country, and that's, man, it's just tragic. It's tragic.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
it is
literally giving up your life for your country because you don't know what happened.
Like the guy said, he closed his eyes and can see his, like an X-ray.
See his skeleton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not normal.
No.
And then the men being cooked inside the vessel.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure when they got discharged, it was like, okay, here you go, deal with the problems yourself.
Yeah, I'm sure there wasn't. I mean, whatever VA treatment you could get were what you could get, but science isn't what it is now.
No.
And even now, you think of the cancer rate amongst people who went through those explosions.
Well, look what happened after 9/11. We're just now getting to where those guys, the brave men and women that are suffering the after effects of that, are now finally getting compensated.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and now this, you know, like, oh, here's a medal. Like, look, we gave them a medal. No, you should do more. Yeah. You know, these are, and they volunteered to serve our country for our freedom. They volunteered their lives to do this. And you just kick them in the ass and hope 60 years later, you can give them a medal. That's not right.
Yeah. Let's move on, shall we? There's, tax time was April 15th, and I don't know how much you wrote off there, Bruiser, but...
I don't know. The missus handles all that.
Oh, boy. Well, here, I got some extra stuff for you to write off.
Okay.
About 76 extra things for you to write off.
Okay.
Although one man already got caught for it, but not you.
No,
not you. The IRS approved one guy's 76 blatantly fake charities.
Oh, yeah. Is this where the human fund comes in from Seinfeld?
Yes, the human fund, yeah. The New York Times examined the lax policies at the tax agency that make fraud easy. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Ian Ho Zhang says he's sorry and wants to make full restitution. I did very wrong, I know that, he tells the New York Times. The 63-year-old Ho Zhang was arrested in May for fraud and other charges tied to 76 fake charities he established between 2014 and 2020. According to the Times, his case raises major concerns about the IRS's ability to serve as gatekeeper for the American charity system. The fact suggests that Ho Zhang's scheme was quite unsophisticated. He used fake names like the American Cancer Society of Michigan and the United Way of Ohio.
So he just put of whatever, of
Yes.
insert state here.
Yep. All listed under the exact same P.O. box on Staten Island.
So wait, the American Cancer Society of Michigan is based out of Staten Island, huh?
Yes, yep. And he included deceased and imaginary people among his directors.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
A big factor in all this, in 2019, the IRS unveiled a new fast-track system with a heavily simplified application process intended to free personnel in the stripped-down agency from cumbersome paperwork. Now, just 1 in 2,400 nonprofit applications are rejected. The old days, it was more like 1 in 53. The real American Cancer Society spotted Ho Zhang's scam, but it got no help from the IRS. Instead, the agency continued approving its fraudulent applications, including 56 between 2019 and 2020. Ho Zhang's arrest puts him in familiar territory. He was convicted of federal fraud charges for a pump and dump stock scam in the 1990s. But Congress hasn't empowered the IRS to make rules that prevent crooks from establishing charities. And so there are none. There you go.
Gee, I wonder why. How many of them give to fake charities?
Yeah, well,
It's just a conspiracy theory, but
there you go. Just one story left for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals today.
okay.
I have my tame chipmunks that I feed. Mm-hmm. I should say they're wild chipmunks, but we've tamed them to eat out of your hand. This story alarmed me when I pulled it up. I'm having
Is it a chipmunk eating someone's face?
No. It just alarmed me when I pulled this up. Do you have now you've been feeding some animals too, haven't you?
Yep. We have some chipmunks and stuff, and right now, actually, as I look out my window, the groundhog has finally come back. It's the first appearance of him since we've gotten Ziggy, because take Ziggy out to do her thing. So he hasn't been around, but just now, as I looked out, he's out there.
You're not in a homeowners association, are you?
No, I am not.
Okay, good. A Texas couple is in trouble for feeding ducks in their yard.
What?
Now their home is at risk.
Oh, come on.
This is one of those dumb laws.
Yeah, this is a stupid law. This is like you can't tie your alligator to a fire hydrant type law.
Mm-hmm. A Texas couple could lose a residence after their homeowners association sues them over unclean activity.
How is it unclean?
Well, I'm about to tell you. A retired Texas couple is at risk of losing their waterfront home after they fed ducks in their yard, and their homeowners association sued them. The Houston Chronicle reports that George and Kathleen Rowe were hit last month with the HOA complaint, which was filed after neighbors griped that the ducks were doing their business on their property and tearing up their gardens. The suit from the Lakeland Community Homeowners Association alleges that the Rows breached community rules by taking part in activities that caused unclean, unhealthy, or untidy conditions. and that could bring nuisance to common areas or disturb or destroy vegetation, wildlife, wetlands, or air quality, per the Insider. Kathleen Rowe says she suspects, let me get that right. Kathleen Rowe says she suspects the ducks grew up in an incubator, were sold as pets, and were abandoned when their owners no longer felt like caring for them. She says they therefore don't know how to take care of themselves in the wild. They never had a mother, she tells the Chronicle. I'm just stepping in. She also said she fed ducks for 2 years before the HOA complained. Huffington Post notes that the U.S. Department of Agriculture discourages people from feeding ducks and various other animals like geese, raccoons, squirrels, and deer, as food that animals eat isn't healthy for wildlife, and because some of our feathered friends can drop up to a pound of feces per day in yards and waterways. The Homeowners Association is seeking a judicial order to get the Rows to stop feeding the ducks, and if it emerges victorious in the suit, the Rows will have to fork over up to $250,000 in fees.
Oh, geez. You know what it was? Is they just made the wrong person mad, whoever's a part of the Homeowners Association.
Yep.
Oh, can I feed the ducks too? Actually, we're running a little late. Come back tomorrow. You know what? You're not allowed to do that.
Yep. If they can't come up with it, foreclosure could be in the cards. That may not be necessary, however, as the Rows have since put up their house on the market, noting that they don't have that kind of cash on hand. We have to be prepared in case that's what it's going to cost, Kathleen Rowe told the Chronicle. And if they end up having to move, I'm going to miss them terribly, Kathleen Rowe says of the ducks. I'm going to more than miss them terribly, George Rowe adds. You know, it's interesting because you get the quote in here from the U.S. Department of Agriculture is that, well, don't feed the ducks or various other animals like geese, raccoons, squirrels, and deer, and that some of the food is unhealthy for wildlife, unless you research what exactly is acceptable for them and feed them only what's acceptable for them, and don't veer from that guideline.
And you can find how to take care of duck anywhere because, especially this year, since the pandemic, ducks have been a popular pet lately.
Well, here's the problem with that. And my grandfather, God rest his soul, got into this issue with his homeowners association. He had geese that they had a man-made pond that was down in a common area. And he would feed the geese, and the geese would come up, and it got so bad that they would come up to his screen door, and they would knock on the screen door. He had a screen door and a sliding glass door, and they would come up and they would knock on the glass.
Okay.
Because it was time to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was cute because they wanted their food, but at the same time, it became troublesome for the neighbors. The neighbors had an issue with it because sometimes they would walk up to a neighbor if they weren't home, and They would knock on the glass and, hey, we want something to eat. And the neighbors weren't too keen about it. So I
can see that.
So they wanted him to stop feeding the geese. So he came up with a solution that was kind of half and half, in that he built a feeder that was at the geese's height.
Okay.
So that he would just put cornmeal or corn feed in there, and that they could, I think it was cornmeal. Don't quote me on that.
Well, it's like if you go to, I don't know, every beach I've ever gone to always has seagulls, because people bring food to the beach and whatnot, and seagulls want that. Or you go to the zoo, there's always birds and stuff there. Mm-hmm. I used to go to the park and feed ducks there. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, no offense, it's a wild animal, and everyone has to keep that in mind. And these homeowners are complaining because they're feeding the ducks. This is what's happening to our property. Well, no, because that's still going to happen to your property because they're wild animals. They don't care where they shit, and they are just going to be looking for food. If you have a garden, well, how many people have a garden and a rabbit comes in and ravishes that garden? You know what I mean?
Well, they're claiming they wouldn't have come up past the shoreline had there not been food available, or had they not been fed, or known where to come to get food.
Which is total BS. You know that as well as I do, because they're going to fly away. They don't. birds shit while they're flying. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
true.
how many times do you walk out and there's bird shit all over your car? It doesn't mean you landed on your car. You know, they're not like us where they have to sit down and wipe afterwards. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, true.
Like the homeowners are just looking for a way out, and they're going to be sorely disappointed when they find out it's still happening after these people are gone or done or whatever, and they ruin these people's lives for no reason.
Yeah.
Now, I understand in your grandfather's situation where the geese were actually demanding and going up to people's houses. Okay, now that's a problem. But your grandfather found a great way to kind of make everybody happy.
They do that too, though. I mean, after a while, there's an expectation. It's not like wild animals get trained, but there is an expectation. They fall into a pattern. Right. So if you continue to feed or provide food for an animal, they're smart enough to know that you're a provider. Not that they, we had Karen Anderson on.
The pet psychic.
And by the way, we're going to be drawing for books. No more entries, by the way. We're going to be drawing for books, and we're going to announce those winners tomorrow on the program. Pardon me, hiccups. But we're gonna draw those names tomorrow. So it's not like they look at you with love and affection and, oh, that's my human. They're going to feed me, blah, 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 blah. They don't look at you like that. They look at you as a food source. So, they know that I can come to that human for food, or I can come to that person for food. Much like they know I've got food over here. I know I can come over there for food. I can come over there for food. There's a human that provides me food. So right. It's an easy mark. So they know I can come over there for food. The minute that food source dries up, they move on.
Correct.
So they know that food source is there. So the minute that my grandfather builds a food box, they know that they don't have to come to the window. As long as the food box is full. Right. The minute it's not full, they come to the window.
Yeah.
So they know. They're smart enough to know if the food box isn't full, they'll come to the window. But you can't explain that to a homeowners association. They just assume that, they're going to be all over our yards and looking for food. If you feed them, they're going to expect us to feed them. No, that's not how it works. They know that we have certain places we can get our food. And if this one person is feeding us, well, then that's the one person we go to.
Yeah, they're not thinking of them as wild animals. They're thinking of them as a pet at that point in time.
Yeah. So people don't realize.
Like you skip days of feeding the chipmunks, right? Like you don't get them every day, right?
Well, we tend to get them every day, at least once a day. They have a because they don't eat everything that they put in their in their pouches. They take it back to their dens and they fill their dens. So at least once a day we provide seeds, but we have 3 dishes worth of seeds that we put out. Okay. So they'll fill their dens and they have enough in their dens to eat. So, but there's like 6 chipmunks out there. They've had babies. Yes. So, there should be plenty of seeds for everybody. Right. And what they don't get from us, they'll find out in the wild.
Right. Exactly.
So that's the idea. What they don't get from us, they'll find in the wild. So,
meaning that they're still going to go in other people's yards. Like, that's what I'm saying is like the homeowners think, oh, if this couple's not feeding these ducks go away. No, they're going to go someplace else to try and find food. Yeah. And they'll still cross your yard and eat your vegetables.
But they also know when we come outside, we've got almonds in our hand.
Right.
We'll feed them almonds.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And these ducks know it when these humans come out.
Yeah. 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 So that's been pet talk here on on True Crime Tuesday. Folks, I want to thank you again for joining us here on Audio Boom. And we know that you're liking having Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals for free because you're tuning in and you're listening to Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals as part of the free broadcast. And we know that you like that little inflation buster. So we appreciate you listening. We're getting your emails too, which is great. By the way, if you have a Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals story that's been happening in your area, or you happen to run across one in your area, send it to tim@darknessradio.com, and we will get it on the air as soon as possible. We appreciate that. Likewise, if you have a supernatural news story, send it to tim@darknessradio.com. And of course, your Parashare stories, which we're going to be doing tomorrow. We do have a Parashare story for tomorrow.
All right.
Send it to tim@darknessradio.com. What's a Parashare story, you may ask? Well, it's your own personal paranormal experience that you might have had, whether it be with a ghost, whether it be with a UFO, or whether it be with a cryptid, like with Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Loch Ness Monster, whatever. That is, by the way, what we have going on with tomorrow's show. Tomorrow is Supernatural News and Parashare. It's myself and Beer City Bruiser right back here tomorrow, and we will be sharing what's been going on in the week with Supernatural News and, of course, your paranormal experiences. And then Thursday, I believe it's Dakra or Baker, Dakra, Stoker. I'm going to figure out the pronunciation on that. The 125th anniversary of Dracula, as we talk about a special Kickstarter project that the Stokers have going on. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the 125th anniversary and what the plans are there. There's also some special merchandise available out there that you can get for the 125th anniversary of Dracula that we'll talk about, that you can get your hands on as well. So that'll do it, Bruiser. Tell us about, real quick, what you got going on.
I am training at the AML Training Center now, Wednesday nights. It's only $25. If you'd like to come out and train with the Beer City Bruiser. It's basically, last week was the first week. We had a good time. And it's the next step of my career, is training the future. I'm excited.
Very nice, very nice. All right, folks, we'll see you tomorrow for Supernatural News and for Parashare. For Beer City Bruiser, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you very much for joining us for the best in true crime podcasting. This has been True Crime Tuesday.